Greetings, good people. What's up? What's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence, and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics. Now, what do we have today? We are seeing this on the 11th of October 2024. The Zimbabwe Minister of Defense, Opam Chinguri, speaking in a different pattern. Now, this one is a different pattern, but really, it is straight up and point on. We are seeing chaos happening in the ruling party, where there is fights over the kingmakers that would be the DCC and Zanu PF. Remember, when the elective Congress comes, there are those people who are responsible for nominating the presidential candidate. And then there are those who approve. So all those would be very, very significant party structures or significant members of the party structures. Recently, we saw the news of the Zanu PF cell restructuring having not been completed yet. Then we see this one here. Yesterday, or day before yesterday, Zanu PF banners were banned today at Heroes Acre by the military. Zanu PF 2030 supporters were forced to pull down banners which they were displaying at the National Heroes Acre after uniformed forces told them this would be at the burial of Tsinga Dube. Then here we see this one yesterday. Shock as Zanu PF Midlands parades Owen Mudanube as their Zanu PF 2027 Congress candidate. Muda is one of the literate ministers without grade 7. Is sponsoring campaign under the 2030 banner. He is currently mobilizing Zanu PF march against the children of Zimbabwe War Veterans Association. So those are the guys who they've posted that one. That's why they would write like that. So we see this. Then we see General Angel Betrugeje speaking. Now we're seeing the Zimbabwe Minister of Defense. Now, Minister of Defense will be an office holder who will be in charge of all the organs to do with Zimbabwe defense. So first, she introduces herself and she makes it clear.
Ministers, my departments, Akato P1, Minister of Defense,
she says, Mese Murima ministers, Mese Papo, but Makazongo Siwa, a new Minister of Defense. That is a Minister of Defense, Opam Chinguri there. So, she is the third most powerful person in Zanu PF as the Zanu PF national chairperson and the most powerful woman in Zimbabwe in terms of a rank in Zanu PF and in government, being a Zanu PF national chairperson and being a Minister of Defense. And because Zanu PF is the ruling party, your role or your rank in Zanu PF determines also what you do in Zimbabwe government. So he says, Makazongo Siwa Nyipana Minister of Defense. She's saying it calmly.
Minister of Security.
Let me just rewind it there. She says, State Security, Jesse Jiri Pauri.
Minister of Defense, Minister of Security. State Security,
Jesse Jiri Pauri, do you expect and Kushanda? Never security.
Minister, Secretary of Defense. Ndiwe unofana kuita pawanzi level chichengeta data iwewe kungofarira position yekumbira kwamunoita mukati kune mari hakuna basa renyu nerekuona kuti
okay zvakusvika panonakidza right. Here she says kwete kungorwira kwamunoita uku kune mari here hakuna right. She's talking about something we haven't gotten the context yet. We're about to get there. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live. To those watching us live, you can write comments in the top chat or in the super chat. That's how I can get to see your names, so I can give you my shout outs there. We are seeing the Minister of Defense speaking in a pattern and fashion we have never seen her speak like before. Big up to Jan Kaitano watching us live there. Alain Magombeze, Wagwan over there. XNXO, Zili say. Glotin Kiwane, Zili say. Says we need certainty as to who comes next. This struggle between and among them does help us, the ordinary people. It prolongs our suffering. It doesn't, it does. It is two-wayed. That is very true anyways. Big up to Precious Tarakino.
ndiwe unofanira kuita pawadi level uchichengeta data iwewe kwete kungofarira position yekumbira kwamunoita mukati kune mari hakuna basa renyu nerekuona kuti
basa renyu nderekuona zvichemo zvemawo veterans. So a few days ago, so we also witnessed that there's been disgruntlement among my war veterans. We saw some videos where some war veterans were basically complaining about their pensions. Those would be what I would call low-level war veterans. No offense in that they are not really stakeholders who have control, but rather they are dependent. When they don't get their income, they have to be complaining, like almost protesting. We saw that caliber there would be protesting. Now we see in this other clip now, she goes deep.
ndiwo unofanirwa kuona kuti vanhu vari kupinda ungava kupariameti wakabva here paseri vanhu vanongopinda asina kugara musangano muripo makatarisana vachipinda unenge security yacho iripi imini muchingosara kuzoya makutaura tinoda mota kaita nebasa tarisai vantu
right. Then here she says mozongoya muchitaura kuti muri kuda kota. Right. She's talking to war veterans. Right. So a person being a female doesn't make her less human. Don't get me wrong there. But here munhu wechikadzi akamira pamberi pema war veterans, just observe the boldness she's speaking on. So she's talking on observe Mandu. Then she would go who issue yema DCCs. Now that is the big issue that is happening in Zanu PF. Those people who would be responsible for nominating the president. Right. Hanzi mupati. We want people vanga vari mupati. Take note. Right. From kuselo anosimuka vari mupati. Munhu achibva uku abva kunokorokoza aita mari aita 40 million yake akuya kusikotenga position. I think in Zimbabwe we recently had corruption allegations that involved 40 million. Would she say 40 million sneakily noting that particular incident of corruption and also to bring it to the attention of these war veterans, because earlier on she would have said ndimakarwira nyika yachona, right? Then she mentioned muno oenda uita 40 million, right? Over utenga position. Let me just rewind that part again so we can get it. 40 million inooneka say
kupinda tisinenge tirimo munhu achibvawo angangokoza oita 40 million yake uye watenga position wakuja.
Munhu achibva uko anga ari kukorokoza oita 40 million yake ouya utenga position. Saka security uri kuitei. Those are the war veterans. And munhu wese uri minister uri security uri kuitei. What are you doing about it? So just by speaking to the war veterans as Minister of Defense, those guys also would feel honored. So basa renyu nderei ndiro ramunofana kuita. Munofana kuya kuno muchipa maripoti zviri kuitika. DCC yakapinda kwakapinda vanhu vasiri vemusangano. Has this happened? Or she's just talking in passing? Okay, we saw that happening in the year 2014 in Zanu PF. Then the DCC is dissolved system. Now it's back. And then she's mentioning this. So we'll go over to Munyarazi Machacha, who would be speaking deep on this DCC issue that is happening. Makapishwa wa province ndo basa renyu. Ndo kutarisa mandu kwete tingouya tingochema. That is the point we have there. Now we see this here happening. Zanu PF facing a whole lot of DCC problems. We would see one publication that would be reading Zanu PF reads a riot act to errant DCC leaders. Then now that would signify or signal intensifying infighting, tensions between factions led by President Emmerson Mnangagwa or factions that claim to be led by Emmerson Mnangagwa and Vice President Constantino Chiwenga have escalated, with both sides positioning themselves for power consolidation ahead of the upcoming elective Congress. Right, so we saw that post they made by children of Zimbabwe war veterans, and they will be writing things said to have been said by Owen Mudangobe, because it's an image, then they caption it, it's not a video. So some of the DCC issues that Zanu PF has faced now and from the year 2014, misuse of powers. Zanu PF National Political Commissar, we saw him, Machacha, issuing a warning to DCC leaders for overstepping their authority in engaging in divisive behavior. He noted that some DCC members are acting as kingmakers and making exclusive decisions contrary to the party's constitution. Take note, there is a mentioning of the constitution. So we see the political commissar will be making this speech on 4 October 2024. Political commissar is also one of the most influential position in a political party, because the political commissar has to do with strategy in the party and mobilizing support for the party. That is the role of the political commissar. The political commissar is responsible for the politics of the party, for running the politics, the political strategy of the party. Then other DCC issues, exclusionary practices. Allegations have emerged that certain DCCs are holding meetings that exclude key members, undermining the democratic process within the party. This behavior is seen as a tactic to consolidate power among select individuals. So who are these DCC members who have been holding meetings that exclude key members? He doesn't say that exclude others, that exclude key members. Big up to Precious Tarakino. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live right now. To those watching us live, you can write comments in the top chat or in the super chat. That's how I can get to see your names, so I can get to give you my shout out. Now, restructuring efforts. So here we hear the Minister of Defense talking about restructuring efforts. Zanu PF has initiated a restructuring exercise aimed at stabilizing its law structures and addressing membership issues. This includes a verification process for both old and new members, reflecting an attempt to regain control over factional disputes. And from the grassroots, from the cells, that's where we see a person votes for the person on the next stage. The person on this stage votes for other people until we reach district coordinating committees. Now, return of the DCCs. This is historical context. The DCCs were reintroduced after being disbanded between 2012 and 2014 due to their role in promoting factionalism. So what would happen from 2013, 14, 15, 16? Then we see Mugabe being ousted in 2017. It was more like an endorsement. It's around the same era where Mugabe Antonga Nyangwari Muyubaro. That our last election, even he himself said, I wanted to resign, but I am forced. That is the time where we see the news of the so-called G40 will be making waves. Now, in Zanu PF parties, the selection of presidential nominees is primarily overseen by National Elections Directorate. Right? Here is a directorate, National Elections Directorate. Here's how the process works. President's approval. The final list of candidates for election, including presidential nominees, is approved by the first secretary and president, currently President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Then, the national elections, the body is responsible for directing and supervising the party primary elections. It sets eligibility for candidates. Remember, we're talking of national elections, not Zanu PF Congress. This is national election. Then, party members' participation. While leadership plays a crucial role, party members are also participate in the selection process through primary elections, where they vote for their preferred candidates. This includes vetting process to ensure that candidates meet the specific criteria. Now, as per Zanu PF Congress, it is not primary election, but people representing provinces and districts, provincial chairmen and district coordinating chairpersons. Those are the ones who have a whole lot of power. And we saw this, Zanu PF announcing that the attendance in Blawa is going to be limited to a certain individuals. So those people of those ranks, those are the ones responsible for selecting and eventually voting for a person who become president or contesting. So consolidating power usually would begin way long before the time would have come. You would be seeking alliances and allegiances from here and there, the thing we would see in 2016 towards 2017, Mnangagwa being accused of. All right, now we're seeing the elections that is happening in Mozambique. Here we see President ED with the presidential candidate, Comrade Daniel Chapo. They would meet in 2023. Then again we see now His Excellency President Mnangagwa presenting a gift to Frelimo Party presidential candidate, Comrade Daniel Chapo. Right, that's a box there. This is dated June 20, 2024. How influential is Zanu PF in SADC elections? Recently, we saw Zanu PF announcing their allegiance with Botswana's ruling political party, their revolutionary party. And again, sometimes when there is as a real or perceived fallout between Zimbabwe and Zambia, there is speculation that they may influence the election there. Now we are seeing Edgar Lungu in Zambia getting huge support. Then just before the Mozambique election, we see Zanu PF members would go there to show their solidarity. Now the next video we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about Zanu PF's role in elections in SADC. We have the Mozambique election. We have the upcoming election in Zambia. We have the Botswana upcoming election. And we also have the Malawi upcoming election. What would this mean for our own upcoming election? And remember, this is all Southern African Development Committee, SADC. With that, I'm going to sign out right about now. Dr. Clarence is the name. TVCN Live is the channel. As always, thank you for watching. Gracias.